Das Ghetto, A History of Hatred, Violence, and Resettlement by Lorenzo Vijay Marwaha Alvarez and Max Petter. Between 1933 and 1945, millions of Jews were slaughtered and tortured just because of their religion. They were herded like animals into concentration and extermination camps, where the Jews were treated as slaves doing work for the SS officers. They were starved and broken down by the leadership in the camps. When they could no longer work, they were hung, burned alive, or shot down by the SS. But how and why did this start? Hatred against the Jews started way before the Holocaust. Though Jesus' execution was said to be carried out by Pontius Pilate, New Testament Gospels say that Jewish leaders handled the arrest and advocated for the execution. Over time, the Jews became fully responsible for Jesus Christ's crucifixion. Jews had become the Christians' number one enemy, and they were often faced with hate and early signs of anti-Semitism. The Nazis capitalized on this early anti-Semitism with help from their influential speaker, Adolf Hitler. They blamed the Jews for Germany's loss in World War I, which they had no part in, as one of their many pieces of propaganda. Because of their influence, they took the lead in the election and quickly gained control of almost the entire government. They made the rules now, however cruel and unjust they may have been. The Jews had no protection left, so the Nazis began their long and egregious plot. As Nazi control expanded, Jewish families were forced into inhumane ghettos like Warsaw and Theresienstadt. These independent districts became common territory for starvation and disease. Soon, thousands were packed into cramped cattle cars set for the death camps. Camps gave little food or drink and were very unsanitary. Hope and willpower were the only two things that kept the Jews alive. While many gave into the trauma of resettlement, the Nazis' mission of isolation was only the beginning. Following years of ghettoization, the Nazis initiated the final solution, a systematic plan to exterminate Europe's Jews. Between 1941 and 1945, approximately 6 million people were murdered in an anti-Semitic rage from the Nazis. Victims were deported by train to death camps like Auschwitz and Treblinka, where most perished in gas chambers upon arrival. Yet, as the machinery of death accelerated, the Nazis faced an unexpected reality. The spirit of Jewish resistance was far from destroyed and was only getting stronger day by day. As Nazi violence continued, many Jewish people did not simply accept their fate. They resisted. In 1943, Jewish fighters in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising held out against German forces for nearly a month, refusing to be sent to death camps and inspiring other revolts. Resistance also appeared in dozens of smaller ghettos and even in some camps where prisoners fought back and escaped. Meanwhile, Allied forces advanced from the west, and the Soviet Red Army pressed from the east, liberating ghettos and camps and exposing the horrors of Nazi genocide to the world. When freedom finally came, the survivors could hardly believe it. For years, they had lived in fear, hunger, and loss. Then suddenly, the gates were open. Some wept with joy, others were too weak to feel anything at all. The freedom they had dreamed of felt almost unreal. They searched for family, for answers, for a way to live again after so much death. Hope slowly returned, but the scars ran deep. Liberation was not the end of their suffering. It was the beginning of learning how to be human again. Though Hitler is dead and the Nazis are no more, there is still much to be done. It is our duty as people to bear witness to this tragedy, to make sure it isn't forgotten. The day that it is forgotten is the execution date for another mass of people. There are many activists out there who have survived the Holocaust, many great people. I encourage you all to listen to their work. It is truly inspiring. Elie Wiesel, a famous activist who survived the Holocaust, once said, quote, "The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference," unquote. It is our job to not ignore the Holocaust, but to remember and act upon it.